You're listening to Guitar Talk with Dave and Jon.
All right, welcome back to Guitar Talk. I'm Dave.
And this is Jon. Hope you had a wonderful weekend.
Yes, indeed. How was your weekend, Jon?
It was fantastic. Had Elvis practice on Sunday, where we began working on a new mashup of Danzig's Mother and Bohemian Rhapsody.
Nice. That'll be fun.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb, it's genius.
Exactly. So I'm assuming that you either did gigs or some rehearsals?
Yes, I actually had a gig on Thursday, acoustic, which I posted on my channel. And then Sunday I had a funk station, the funk band rehearsal, and it's getting really good, and we're getting a lot of, because we're getting good, it's getting so much more intricate, and it's just it should be an interesting gig this coming Saturday when I have a gig. It was funny because when we finished the rehearsal, somebody in the band said, geez, I wish, because the rehearsal was like 5 hours. It was I get paid for these I wish I could get paid for a rehearsal. I said, you do. It's called a gig.
Dang, a 5-hour rehearsal. How long is your set?
Well, we have three hours long sets.
Right on. Okay, so you're doing all-night parties, basically.
Yes.
Right on.
Yeah, it's kind of going to be probably like a function band. And because...
That'll be great.
Yeah, and because it's me, and I hate playing songs that are, overdone, it's like songs that people just don't try, or... So it's really cool, and as far as the set list goes. But Saturday, I was off.
When are you guys playing? When are you guys playing Seth's bar mitzvah?
Exactly. With the Dan band. So Saturday,
right.
I went down to Mohegan Sun. Emily and I went down to Mohegan Sun, and
I don't know what that is.
It's a casino in Connecticut, and there was nothing really to do. We were like, let's go hang out down there, see maybe there's a couple of bands playing. We can I know Harlan Williams, the comedian, has a comedy show down there that night. He was going to be down there. We get there, and it's like, oh yeah, Kiss is playing at the arena.
Harlan Williams, for those who don't know, is the founder of 6 Minute Abs.
Oh, isn't it 7?
Oh, it's 7 Minute Abs. You can't get anything done in 6 minutes.
Exactly. He's also the cop in Dumb and Dumber. You give that to me, you pumpkin pie haircutted freak. Yeah, great. So what happened was we get there and Kiss is playing. So I'm like, ooh, let's see if we can get some Kiss tickets. So I get in line. I walk up to the window, and with the evil looks from these people in a long line, and I said to the woman, you guys have any tickets back in the system yet? She's like, well, everybody in that line's kind of waiting. And I'm like, well, boy, are they suckers, because I'm here at the window. Anyway, she's like, well, I'll check for you. So, but they didn't have any. And then we were like, well, we're not going to hang around. We didn't really care about going to see Kiss. It was kind of like, if it was serendipitous and we could go see them, then we would go. But if it didn't happen, we were fine. So I'm like, all right, let's go get some food. So we went to Frank Pepe Pizza, which is like a famous pizza place in Connecticut, that they have one at the Mohegan Sun. We ate at Frank Pepe Pizza, go back to the Kiss situation. It's no better. We're like, all right, screw this. We go to the Wolf Den where there's a concert being set up, and it's the band War.
Oh, right on.
So we're watching this band play Cisco Kid Was a Friend of Mine, and Slipping Into Darkness, and they played Spill the Wine, and I was the star of that Hollywood movie. It was good. We enjoyed ourselves. And then we hung around. I played a little blackjack.
Man, there's everything going on at the casino. Kiss, War, Harlan Williams.
Harlan Williams. Yeah, well, we missed Harlan Williams because we wanted to see War instead. And Well, then I played blackjack, won a little money, which ended up making the whole day even. It was like I didn't spend any money. I won what I spent. So we had a good time. Saturday was very fun.
What was your winning hand? Did you have?
I was playing blackjack. So
many.
It was.
Well, sure. So you had many.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, they kept handing me 12. I think I yelled at the dealer at one point. I'm like, how many times are you going to give me 12? Every time. It was like unbelievable. But that's when I was like, you know what? I think I'm up a little over $100. Let me just walk away and let's go figure out what we're going to do now. So then we did, and we had fun. It was a good time.
It sounds like a nice little Saturday.
Yeah, it was decent. Yeah.
I had a nice little Saturday with the Home Depot.
Yeah, right. And then it was funny because they had the Krispy Kreme down there. So a buddy of mine
Oh man.
A buddy of mine says, "Hey, if you go, will you bring me back a dozen?" So I bring him back a dozen, and I'm going to a place near his house. So he's like, "Oh, I'll come meet you and grab him." So he grabs them, and then he texts me like an hour later, and he's like, "I can't wait to try one in the morning." And I'm like, first of all, it's a heavy-set guy. Who the hell are you kidding? You haven't eaten half the box already. You know what I mean? He's like, I can't wait to try them. It's like,
I'm going to be bad.
Right. It's like, spare me the nonsense. It's absolutely hilarious.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love the fact that one of our first endorsements on this channel is going to be from Krispy Kreme.
Exactly. The thing was, he then was like, I want you to try these pedals I have. I just found them in my pedal bin. And they're old. This is an old Proco Rat.
That's better for the frame, yeah. Look at that. That's cool. So
this, I believe, is from 1979.
Right on.
And then this
still
one,
in good shape for being that old.
This one, I believe, is from 1981.
Wow. Okay.
And
have you plugged them in yet?
I have not.
You gonna make a video?
I'll probably do something with it. I never liked the Rat pedal, but some people make a big deal out of them. And God, I remember growing up, everybody had these things, and I was like, I never liked it. Of course, what the hell did I know? I was playing a PV Bandit 65. Christ.
Right. What was now the Rat pedal, was that not a pedal that was supposedly on Joe Perry's pedal board?
It might have been.
I feel like I've read that before, that he was a Rat user in the late 70s, early 80s. I think the options were a lot more limited back then.
Yes, well, I had to do a song in my band FM station. I walk along the avenue. What's that called? I Ran by Flock of Seagulls. And I read in something that he's basically just playing a jazz chorus, 120, through a rat. But he's going through a rat. Yeah. And so, yeah. I don't know. I forget what they're based on. It's based on something like the guy. Oh, I know what it is. The guys who made the original Rat were the guys who, actually in your area, I think they were out of Kalamazoo, Michigan, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
I think. And they basically were the guys who used to repair the Dallas Arbiter fuzz, the fuzz face. Mm. And when they were working on the fuzz face, one of the guys was like, I can make a better one of these. And started the Rat.
I've never liked it myself. Yeah. I think I'm kind of like you. I've played it a few times and been like, I don't get it. I think, and this is just coming from coming from someone that comes from a heavy metal background, most of the guys who grew up on heavy metal guitar prefer the sound of gain/distortion more than the sound of distortion/fuzz. Yes, I would totally agree with that.
And so we stay away from pedals like the Rat pedal or and I think the guys who probably enjoyed the Rat pedal probably used it with a pretty low distortion setting and used it into like an old Marshall that was already breaking up and kind of using it as like the tube screamer, if you will.
Yeah, that might be true. Well, I mean, if you take it back to 79, what options were available on the market aside from the Rat? You had tube screamer.
That's Big Muff.
Okay. The like the treble booster, right? The Rangemaster.
Oh yeah, they were around. Yeah.
MXR Distortion Plus.
Sure.
I wonder what else there was.
When did the Tube Screamer come out? Was that 79?
78 or 79, yeah.
So that's around that time.
Right. But I'm wondering if there's, I mean, could you count your boost options on one hand in 79?
I don't think there was a lot.
Yeah. So you had fuzz pedals. There was probably a lot more than 4 or 5 fuzz pedals, but
yeah.
I mean, even like today, they were probably all based on the same thing.
Well, I mean, even today they are. I mean, it's like most overdrive pedals are some version of the Tube Screamer.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm just saying back then maybe there were 5 that were based on the old round what's that thing called?
The fuzz.
Yeah, the fuzz face. Whereas now there's 5,000.
Right. Well, I mean, you think about it, all the Univibes are based on the Shanae Univibe.
Right. You remember my buddy Steve, Asian Steve?
Yeah.
I think he came out once or twice when we were roommates. Asian Steve has a Rivera K-Tray, which is what do they call it? A knucklehead? Something like that. Anyway, it's a Rivera head. It was a heavy metal head. He told me the other day that he was going to mod it because he didn't really like the sound of it anymore. And so he changed a few caps and changed a few things in the tone circuit. Sent me some clips, and it sounds just like a modded Marshall now. Doesn't have the low end boom of like the Riveras and all that stuff. And so I said, sounds like a modded Marshall. And he goes, yeah, that's kind of what I wanted. He was like, I just wanted something to have a Marshall circuit. And so he said, I was looking at the schematic and I compared it against the Friedman BE100 schematic, and I noticed that I really only had to change a few values. So I went in and changed these values, and now it sounds like a modded Marshall. And it just made me laugh because it relates to what we're talking about right now, where everything is based on the same thing. Right. He went in and changed, he said he literally changed like 5 parts. Yeah. It totally sounds different now. It's just like a modded Marshall.
Well, I think that has... Yeah, I mean, and what's a modded Marshall but a modded Fender?
Right. Yeah.
Marshall. There's a guy who's on YouTube who basically shows how to make the Fender Bassman, the 59 Bassman. How can I make it sound like a Marshall? Here's his mod, and it's like, oh, that does sound like a Marshall. Yeah, I mean, there's not really many things, I watched a clip of a guy's. Like he had like a live cast, and I watched 2 seconds of it. Not because I wasn't interested, but mainly because I was just in the middle of doing other things and I didn't have time. But it was very interesting because the guy starts talking about a pedal or something, and he mentions germanium and silicon, and the other guy goes, they're transistors and what, and the other, he was like just making a joke like the guy was using the wrong term. And the other kid that was on the podcast says, yeah, I don't know what any of that stuff means. I plug in and play it. If it sounds good, I'll keep it. And I'm like, I like that guy.
Right. That's your guy.
That's the guy I like, because it's like, who cares? And then the other guy was pretty funny who brought it up, because then he says he calls a lot of the music guys cork sniffers.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they are. It's like, when you get a bottle of wine, you can examine the cork, because most people will pick up the cork and just feel the condition of it. If it's dried out, they know the wine was stored wrong and maybe it has air in it. But if it's a solid, good feeling cork, you know that it's probably going to be pretty good. The wine was stored properly.
Right.
And that's really all you're doing. But to smell the cork would mean absolutely nothing, except that you don't know what the hell you're doing. You know what I mean? It's like and it's just a brilliant analogy, because people in the wine industry would refer to the people who are like novices that think they know cork sniffers.
That's funny.
And yeah, I thought it was a really clever, and his joke seemed to have gone past maybe a little bit. Nobody really, I would have been on it for a while because it was really clever. But anyways, that's how I feel about a lot of the people and a lot of the stuff in the industry. I have a friend of mine, same guy with the Krispy Kreme donuts, who keeps buying basses. And he keeps saying to me, I really love the sound of this bass. I'm like, well, okay. Well, what's the pickup in it? Yeah, I don't know if that matters. What the hell are you talking about? I'm like, it's all that matters. He goes, well, I like the way it plays acoustic. I mean, he's basically a bedroom player that never plugs in anyways. So, I mean, it's like he's buying a bass for an acoustic instrument, which is insane to me.
Right.
And he buys a lot.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Hey, let him do it. It's
it's not the question of let him do it. It's the question of, do I need to hear? Because I'll get the phone call. How come this bass doesn't sound as good as the other one? What do I know? I'm not over there. I don't know what you're playing. I'm not even sure that they sound any different.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, did you hear my video clip that I posted of the Bohemian Rhapsody solo last night?
Yes. I did.
I think it's the first time I've bothered to learn a solo from another band in like a million years.
I did that solo on an episode as well. It's a fun one. Oh yeah.
Yeah, not too hard.
No.
I think there's a couple of sections in it where I need to like re-listen to it and make sure that I'm hitting a bent note rather than a fretted note. If you know what I mean, because there's a few times where he'll bend up to a note rather than play the whole step up or whatever, and I want to make sure that I get those right.
Yeah, if somebody were to take on the solo, my critique or input would be just make sure you get the part that goes dun, 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 the part, the trill that comes down before the ba da 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 da.
Oh yeah,
the trill that walks down, only just because it's tricky. But I mean, you got it. It sounded great.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
One of those things that's like the tricky part of the solo. Otherwise,
yeah. But the funny thing, the reason I thought of that is when you were talking about your buddy with the bass, how he's a bedroom player and he just plays unplugged. I played that on the. I don't know if I told you about it. I bought that cheap Hamer, the P90 in it. Yeah. So I just played it. I'm sitting there playing it on my couch like that. That guitar acoustically is so loud. It's crazy. Yeah. So that's why I thought of that. I was just thinking about like, God, it's funny how loud that guitar is without being plugged in.
Yeah.
But it's a fun solo.
Yeah.
I call that a simple solo that is still quite epic. I think everybody knows that one.
The thing with Brian May is it's a lot about the timing stuff. That's what makes it tricky because you take a solo like We Will Rock You. And if I watch people play it, most of them don't get the opening rhythm right that comes into that solo where he's just chugging along. And I think that's kind of like the confusing part to him. His playing is the rhythms and the timing is
unorthodox. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I totally get that. And I have a feeling that if I hadn't already heard the tune Bohemian Rhapsody 80 billion times over the course of my life, it probably would have been a lot more difficult. Because you are really, you're not just going like ticky-tacky, 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 ticky-tacky. You're not doing that. It's a lot more odd.
Well, I will say, like, he plays what we call, he does a lot more things in orchestra time, if you will. And orchestra time has a different ebb and flow than, like, a click. In fact, I remember watching an old video interview with the drummer for Black Sabbath there, Bill Ward, thank you. I was blanking on his name. And Bill Ward says, well, they never played to a click, and it was meant to be orchestra time. It's supposed to have an ebb and flow, and I think Iron Maiden has that as well. But Queen, because he's like, like comes from that classical and he wants that classical sound, some of the things ebb and flow inside that click in orchestra time for push and pull. And it's nice. He's a great player. He's very underrated, in my opinion.
You know what I found interesting is there's no guitar parts in that song up until it goes bum, 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 bum. That part where he just walks down from A back down to G, bum, 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 bum. That's the first guitar lick in the whole song.
It's crazy.
It's wild. It's like halfway through the song.
Right. And if you see a band try to do it, some guitar player will play through the whole song.
Right, of course. Well, he's on He's on stage for the only time he's going to be on stage that month. He's like, I'm going to get my money's worth.
Yeah, right.
Just go ruin everything.
Yeah. Exactly.
I played in a band not long ago where it was a 2-guitar player band where that was happening. Where it was just like, why are you overplaying every single part? And I come to realize quickly that it's just because like he's eager. Really, really eager.
I think it has also to do with people that lack a certain sensitivity to the listening audience and understanding what the final thing sounds like. When you're playing on stage, they don't always have to hear the guitar. If there's no guitar in that section, you can sit out and not play a fucking note.
Right.
It only helps the overall dynamic for when you come in and people are like, but if you're always in, you're never missed. And
I hear you completely.
Yeah, and you're just taking away from the sound of the band during the parts where it might be a tender moment, and you're playing. And you shouldn't be. Yeah, I mean, it's that's one of my pet peeves.
One of my things as a guitar player these days, too. Like, if I say this often, if I can be a part of the bigger picture and my part doesn't have to be difficult, but I'm getting paid the same, that's better.
Yeah.
Let me slink into the background and just ride a very, very simple part while everybody else does the complicated thing. I'm fine with that.
I think people need to understand they are there to serve the song. The song is not there to serve them.
Mm-hmm.
And if the song with it's like you could watch like American Idol. Now, I don't know if they're back on again, and I don't know what season they're on, but let's say they've done 15, 16 seasons. How many people have come off that show with big careers?
Like 2, 3?
Exactly.
What is there? Kelly Clarkson had a good run. What's the pretty blonde girl in country music? What's her name? She did Brad Paisley song, and
you just made me Carrie Underwood.
Right, Carrie Underwood. There's an R&B black woman who's really had a good career.
Really?
Yes. Shit. I should know this.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But again, she was early. She was probably within the first 5 seasons.
Oh, well, Jennifer Hudson.
That's who I'm thinking of.
Came out, and she didn't even win the show. She came in like 5th.
Right. But she had a pretty good career.
Daughtry had one hit. Yeah, I would say it's an okay career. But again, the show is going out to, I don't know how many million people.
Right.
And the purpose, what I'm bringing up is the fact that if you don't come armed with songs, it's very difficult to have a career. And you could take a look at like somebody like Carrie Underwood, who every album has like 2 or 3 hits. There's a lot better writers writing for people in country. But it also has to do with she has access to these writers. And
right.
When you're a talent and you're writing your own material, well, then you're even armed further because you can then go and you have your supply as you. So I just think like shows like American Idol, it's like it's all about like you're the pop star, and then it's like the song comes last. And if you look at my point, you could take a look at whatever Carrie Underwood's song was when she won her finale song, which was going to be her first single, is an absolute utter piece of shit. horrendous song. I don't know if it's called like Something in Your Heaven. It is absolutely an abomination. And then
That's
her
hilarious.
comes out and she has Jesus Take the Wheel. Don't Forget to Remember Me. Those are great country songs. Great songs. Doesn't matter who sang. You could say to anybody covering a song, I want you to do Don't Forget to Remember Me. And people will be like, I never heard that. Who is that? It's a great song. And I just want to say that people don't realize you're serving the song. So play, and if you're not doing the song justice, stop doing what you're doing.
Is it fair to say, in your estimation, and obviously there are outliers to this, but is it fair to say that rock music is probably the only mainstream genre going where the artist writes their own tunes?
Do they? I mean, it was that way for a while. I don't know if they're still writing their own songs, but I don't even know who's left in rock music. But yeah, Dave Grohl writes his own stuff, and
yeah, that's a good point. I couldn't tell you if Imagine Dragons writes their own tunes. In fact, I couldn't tell you one of their tunes because I'm outdated.
What was Aerosmith's biggest hit?
Yeah, that was all written by other people, right? Diane Warren,
right?
And, who was the guy in the '80s? Desmond Child.
He helped write some songs, although he wasn't. I wouldn't say he wrote, but as much as he was there to help them. But they basically wrote the tune. But yeah, no, I mean, Aerosmith wrote some great songs. Steven Tyler wrote some gems. Home Tonight's a brilliant song. Anything on the first, anything up to Rockin' a Hard Place, I think Aerosmith can pretty much rest their laurels on. But then you start getting into like other people coming in and start writing, and the hit machines, the hit makers come in, and even they're not writing their own stuff. I mean, the Stones are writing their own songs, and but yeah, I mean, in country, you didn't really have many people writing their own songs. It's a songwriter's world. And then you had the songwriters like Willie Nelson, who, later in his career became an artist because it was allowed. But in the beginning, he was writing songs for Farron Young. Patsy Cline had a big hit with Crazy. So, Willie was writing songs for other people. But yeah, and but the song is, if you don't have a song, you have nothing to say. People could sit there and talk about Zeppelin, and, yeah, they lifted some stuff in their early days, but I don't think they knew any better. I think they thought they were like, a couple of guys from England thinking like, oh, these are old Americana blues songs. They're probably from the plantation days and public domain, and, who knew? And they didn't realize those people wrote those songs or was taking the credit for them and had publishing on them. But who cares? They made them better. Mm-hmm. And, if people are going to sit there and, I mean, I would say, I can see the art in, if you look up a song by Brand Nubian from the 90s called Don't Let It Go to Your Head. And it was a Gene Carn song from the 70s, but these guys rap over it. But it's a really cool rap. And I think it's just, it's a creative thing. Yeah, they didn't write the hook. I think getting jiggy with it is fun. Even though it's Chic playing for Sister Sledge on He's the Greatest Dancer, getting jiggy with it is a fun effing song.
I love that you brought up the name Brand Nubian. That's just brilliant.
Oh, I love that band. That's a great rap band because I love Grand Poobah. But I'll tell you right now, that song, Don't Let It Go to Your Head by Brand Nubian is fantastic. Almost as good as the original Gene Carn version. Mm-hmm. Actually, I was going to do a video on the song by Gene Carn just to show how all the parts, because I have a keyboard over here now, and I want to show basically what the keyboard's doing and the chords. There's a couple of people that posted it wrong, and I wanted to, and there's a reason why it's wrong, but I wanted to show why. Like one guy calls the chords A to B, but the bass is actually playing F sharp to G sharp, and really it's because partial chords. If you play A to B and the bass is playing F sharp to G sharp, you're playing F sharp minus 7 to G sharp minus 7. So tonally, I just want to go over what's going on in that tune. I'll post that, but it's a really cool song anyways. We do it in the funk band, the Karn version.
What keyboard did you put in the room?
It's a Yamaha P45.
I don't know what that is. Is that a piano?
Yeah, it's like a digital piano.
Got it. Okay. So it's got like some wild synth.
No. It basically has piano, electric piano, organ, and harpsichord maybe, and clav, and strings. But basically, some guy was selling it on Marketplace on Facebook, and I was like, that would look great in my room.
There you go.
And it was just, the price was ridiculous. So I was like,
nice.
Yeah, and I hooked it up, and so it's hooked into my computer, so I can do some stuff with it, and it'll be cool.
That's got weighted keys, I assume.
Yes, I love weighted keys. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
You remember when I had the other keyboard in the apartment? Weren't you?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I had the Korg M3, I think it was, with 88 keys. I ended up selling it to the poker player, the Unabomber there. What the hell? Phil Locke. I ended up selling it to him.
I don't remember who that is.
He's his girlfriend is Jennifer Tilly.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he came over to the play. Oh, you know what? You might have just left, and he came over to the place and picked it up. Good guy. Okay. Nice guy. Yeah.
Very good. So I posted a video this week doing an exercise in just thinking about guitar players who kind of changed my outlook on the instrument.
Sure.
I was wondering if I could get you to join in that exercise here for a minute. Wow. Did you see that video?
I did.
I know I'm dropping this on you right now, and you're thinking...
Oh, it's good. It's good.
Now you got to think about it. So for the folks out there who haven't seen it, the video was not an exercise in who my favorite guitar players are, but specifically were the moments where a guitar player changed the course of the direction of like my thought process on playing guitar and even becoming a guitar player. So can I get a couple of those from you?
Yeah, I think you had 5, right?
I did, yeah.
And can one of them be Paganini? No, I'm just kidding.
I did drop the joke in there.
I know. I don't know if we talked about that before on here, because it should always be re-mentioned and reinforced.
If we did, we only did it once, and we're like 20 episodes deep, so it should happen again for sure.
Right. So, folks, what happens is anytime somebody, like in the guitar magazines, and they talk to young guitar players, and they state their influences, they always mention a shredder, a classic rock player that's like borderline shred, and then a classical musician, to somehow try to validate that their music is cultured and they're not just, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's just hilarious. So you'll always hear people say, my influences are Yngwie, Ritchie Blackmore, and Bach. It's just awful.
Yeah. Well, you know they're full of shit. They're just so full of it.
Say, oh, what Bach piece do you like? You know that one that, yeah. Yeah, the guy has 4,000 compositions I can't get you to sing to. Right? Anyways.
Oh, you're deep, aren't you?
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
Your love for Stravinsky.
Yes, so cultured. Yeah, it's
like so unbelievable.
So for me, you're talking about guitar players who changed the course of how I play or look at guitar.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, on my channel, I've done a bunch of guitar players who've influenced me, so I'll be hitting on a bunch of them. So first would be Jimmy Page, because the different tunings, the approach to the guitar would definitely be a very big influence from him of how I started playing.
He was like the Johnny Resnick of his time. Just kidding.
Johnny Resnick.
I don't know why I'm making that joke. I do know why. Because you're just the first thing you mentioned is the alternate tunings.
Yeah.
The guy from the Google Dolls. He's
odd.
Yeah, he always does that. But clearly that's not a good comparison.
No, but so Jimmy Page was definitely my first when coming out playing guitar. And then I got into guys who, of course, didn't change the course of how I play. You've got the Glenn Tiptons from Judas Priest who don't count because it's more of the same, and it's like an addendum of that. I would then say, I'm definitely going to say Yngwie for the sheer picking. Right. Although I was into the picking when Al Di Meola did it, but I never bothered with it until I heard Yngwie, and it wasn't until later.
Right.
So I would say Johnny Marr from the Smiths.
Mm.
The jangly chords, those open string tones, definitely changed the way I would look at the guitar because of the chords, and I found that was really cool. I would also then say Steve Wariner.
That's a good one.
For the country approach, because he was like what I would use to try to figure out country licks and all that stuff. And it definitely was a different angle of guitar for me that was like, what the hell is this? I think he was very important. Other than that, I would probably say somebody like even though probably how many did I say? 4 already?
Yes.
Well, then I would probably go with like I think I would say Steve Lukather, because I like the jazz approach over rock. And that was kind of like, I would say Larry Carlton too, but I think Lukather even more so because he had more of that quote-unquote metal tone. He had, a lot going on. It was a little bit more current. Although the guitar solo for Pointed Up by Larry Carlton is just so ridiculous. But yeah, no, I would say Steve Lukather as far as... or Neil Schon.
Right.
Just somebody who is super melodic in the lead playing. And in fact, I mean, maybe more so Neil Schon, maybe more so Journey Escape.
Right.
Just that album alone, I think, is like, if you're looking to become a melodic player, I noticed on YouTube a lot of, and I was a huge Eddie Van Halen fan, and but it didn't make me want to run out and tap every 5 seconds. It didn't make me want to be Van Halen. Right. I see a lot of these guys, they're like, I love Van Halen. Well, I loved Van Halen too. I just didn't think it would be really necessary to do Van Halen.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I totally do. That's why I decided on the people I decided on when I did my exercise, as opposed to, like I said, my favorite players.
Right.
So if I was going to list my favorite players, how could I not say Marty Friedman for the lead stuff that he did in those Megadeth records, which is hands and shoulders above every other heavy metal guitar player I can think of. It's the best. And I didn't, but I've never tried to really learn any of his material. I just listen to it and I enjoy it.
Do you ever see the way he comes in underarm like this?
Oh, it's really odd, yeah.
When Nick Menza played in my band, he brought that up to me. First of all, they said they used to call him in the band, his nickname in the band, Marty Friedman's, was the Wizard.
Yeah.
They used to call him the Wizard, but they said he would come in and pick like this, and even like, I guess Mustaine would give him a hard time about it, like, and goof on him, but they were all like, what the hell are you doing? Like the way you would hold the guitar underhand, like, it was weird.
Oh, yeah. I remember watching him play, like, the first few times I saw him play, and I was like, how do you mimic that? That's so unorthodox, But yeah, it's got that thing, and then if you watch him actually pick, it's rare that he's alternate picking. Most of the time he's doing that, doing that Gambali sort of, like, circular picking shit.
Well, I have to say, like, the stuff like Skin of My Teeth and Megadeth was past me when it happened. I wasn't listening to much metal at that time of that ilk, and it wasn't until I was at Gold's Gym in Venice in like 97 and Hangar 18 came on, and I'm like, what the hell am I hearing? This lead is shredding. And then I went out and got the record, so it was like I was like probably 5 or 6 years behind each album. But No, I mean, he's a great, great player. What was weird was, and I don't know if it was you that was with me, did you go see him in Long Beach at one of the NAMM shows? Ibanez had a private party, and they had Paul Gilbert playing. They had Marty Friedman was there. I don't know why he was there in Ibanez. Did he switch to Ibanez at some point?
Yeah, for a minute he was.
Okay, good. So then my memory's right. So then it was him. George Lynch at this party?
He was never Ibanez.
No, but I think he was there too.
Maybe. Yeah, but this sounds like the kind of party that Matt Cable would have been at.
Oh, maybe Matt was with me.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
You're 100% right. Matt Cable was with me. The funny thing was we walked away going, boy, Marty does not sound good. When you put him next to someone like Paul Gilbert, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those guys, Satriani, I mean, I don't care for any of them. Because Satriani...
Go ahead, sorry.
Satriani doesn't know about serving the song.
Serving with the alien.
Yeah, serving with the alien, I wish he did, because he would have served the song better. But Paul Gilbert is one of those underrated players who I think has such a great musical sense, and not just being a great shredder. I definitely put him in a league above all those guys. You could tell he's very harmony rich. Like, he understands chords. If somebody plays an A major chord, in his playing or the way in his head he's hearing that A major 7. You could tell he's a child of the music that I am, which is grew up listening to Bread, Neil Sedaka, that type of harmony. And you can hear it in his playing, and it's brilliant. And he's also a monster shredder, but he serves the songs. When you listen to, like, when you sent me that Mr. Big song, Paul's playing to the song. I mean, it's not like, when you hear such, like, I'll say this again. Sammy Hagar and Montrose, brilliant. Sammy Hagar solo, brilliant. Van Halen, brilliant. Chickenfoot, well,
yeah,
horrible.
Tell me about it.
Satriani can't write a tune.
Nah.
Doesn't serve a song. It's all self-absorption. It's all about, I'm just Satriani. I just don't like that stuff. It's not for me. You know what I mean? And it's like, folks, there's a reason why guys like Van Halen, you could have guys like Steve Vai, and you could have guys like Vito Bratta, and all these guys that people say they play like Van Halen, but they're better. I'm going to quote Jerry Seinfeld. No, they're worse. Much worse. And the reason why they're worse is because they don't get the fact that they're there to serve the song. And even though Eddie, in those songs, is doing Eddie Van Halen, that's the genius of him. That he's doing Eddie Van Halen at the same time he's serving the song.
Mm-hmm.
And when he plays a fill, it's not about, look at me. It's more like, this is the attitude of the band. When you hear like a Lee Roth song and he's like, take your whiskey, and you hear that monster guitar come in, you're just like, the whole band is like a ball of attitude.
Yeah.
When you hear Steve Vai play on the Whitesnake record and he starts playing leads or even like riffs, you're like, yeah, could you stop and maybe tweak that amp a little bit so you don't sound like in.
So I'm rolling down the street the other day, and I've got my Van Halen playlist going. This is just, I haven't listened to Van Halen a lot in the last 10 years, and I just decided the other day. So Eruption comes on, which I haven't heard in a number of years, but I've heard it a billion times, and everybody knows Eruption. Kid, how unbelievable. This is 40 years later. How unbelievable is that piece? And it's still like, you listen to the chewiness of that tone, and it's just like, good Lord. I get why everybody chases that tone. It's insanity.
Yeah.
It's the best tone there ever was in rock guitar. It's unbelievable.
And it's not that overdriven.
No.
I think the problem is a lot of people over-distort it, and then they lose that big sound that Eddie got. Eddie's not playing a highly distorted guitar.
He is now.
Now he is.
Good God. Have you played anything like have you tried 5150s or the 5153s that he's using now? There's more gain in those amps than any other amps I've ever played, and they frankly don't sound that good.
Yeah, I don't know if he's diming them though, like the people who buy them are. I think that might be Eddie being smart again, saying, "Let me just give these guys the gain."
Maybe
but I'll back.
I had a 5150 for a minute, and I had the gain set to like 4.
Yeah,
and I don't mean 4 o'clock. I mean like 10:30, and it was still too much gain. I was like, this sucks. I got rid of it.
The 5150 can and for the 6505 plus can sound pretty good. It's a decent amp. Again, you got to pull the gain back for my taste as well. I think a lot of people think like, oh, there's that overcompress. They just want to distort the hell. And I think Eddie has something to do with that as far as like, But I saw Van Halen in 2007, and he had like his tone was so terrible at that gig. And I'd seen it before. I seen him on the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge tour, and
right.
Just it wasn't good. But back then, his tone was brilliant. I think that, again, if you listen to like the old Van Halen records, Van Halen 1 is very good. I don't know if it's the best. In fact, I don't think it's the best. I think, for me, Women and Children is a little bit more raw, and it sounds like they're a garage band, which I love the sound of them being that. There's less of the Phase 90. In fact, the Phase 90 kind of went bye-bye by Van Halen 2.
Women and Children First, did that have Unchained on it?
No, that's Fair Warning.
Fair Warning. Okay. So Women and Children First was after that album?
Before. 1980. Okay. It opens with In the Cradle of Rock, Everybody Wants Some, Fools, Romeo Delight.
Right.
Then you go to side 2, and it's like Tora Tora, Loss of Control, Could This Be Magic, Take Your Whiskey Home, In a Simple Rhyme. I might be forgetting one, but I might not. But that's basically the record.
How funny is it that you said then you go to side 2? Anybody that's younger than us is like, what's side 2?
Right. Fair Warning is another album. That would be my number 2.
Yeah.
That would be the second best album, I think, by them, which many a nights I've discussed this with friends of mine back in the day. We used to argue. People used to think Fair Warning was the best, and they put Women and Children second. I put Women and Children first and Fair Warning second. And then I go to 1. Right. Then I go to 2. Then I go to 1984, and then Diver Down last.
So to take it back 1 second, were you at the show that was Paul Gilbert, Richie Kotzen, and George Lynch with Cable and I?
No.
You were not there. Okay.
No.
I wanted to mention this a minute ago when you were saying that you put somebody like Marty Friedman up next to Paul Gilbert and he sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Kid, you should have heard that show. Gilbert made George Lynch look like a kid with broken fingers.
Yeah.
But Richie Kotzen sounded every bit as good as Paul did.
No, Richie's amazing.
Richie was unbelievable. But there were moments in that show where they were doing like the typical G3 thing where everybody's on stage playing the song and they're sharing solos and whatever. And I was literally watching Lynch during the other guys doing their solos, cutting his volume on his guitar and trying to work through a lick before he came up to do his bit. Like he should have been in the back, like playing rhythm or whatever. But right. You'd see him out of just sheer frustration, just cut all the way off. You'd watch his hand roll off the volume and see him working something out. And then he'd come up to the front and he'd start trying to do it. And then ended up defaulting to some stupid tapping thing because he couldn't do it.
Right.
And those guys were just schooling him so hard. I felt bad for the guy.
Yeah, I don't think he's a good player. I know a lot of people love George Lynch. It's, in fact, one young Tony Fuentes might argue with us wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
However, no, I'm not a fan of Lynch. I do like a few things he's done. You know, years ago, so we're going back. I'm going to go back to 1997. And I'm living on Frey Avenue, right around the corner from where Riley was living. Remember where and RL now is in that same neighborhood? That neighborhood, I was living in a house. And this girl comes up to me at the gym and she's like, someone told me you have a dual rectifier. I'm like, yes. Well, my boyfriend would love to come over and see it and play it because he's thinking of buying one. Can he try it? I said, yeah, absolutely. So her boyfriend was Randy Piper from Wasp. And he comes over and he played it. Buried for like a second. And he goes, I'd rather watch you play. And so then he played and he ended up taking some lessons. He asked me how much lessons were, and Randy's a good player, but he just wanted a different perspective, and he liked some of the stuff I did. And he's like, how long you been out here? And I'm like, a few years. He's like, are you playing? Like, have you been out there playing? And I said, I'm just starting to now. I had a gig coming up with John Taylor from Duran Duran, and he's like, let me tell you something, what you're going to find. A lot of these guys who play friggin' great on the record don't sound so good when you see them live. And I'm like, oh, you don't think they sound good? He goes, they're not good. I'm
That's
like,
really funny.
Like, okay. And I took it with a grain of salt. I figured it was like, yeah, maybe not. And then I will say I got to play with some people that were heroes of mine growing up.
You told me about one of these before.
Yeah, I don't want to mention his name, but I just want to say I was utterly disappointed in the way he played, and I was in shock because I was like, this is a guy that I had looked up to, and when I watched him play just in front of me on a guitar, just like if you would hand somebody a guitar without plugging it in, you could kind of see what they do, and it was just like, oh no, it just was like, wasn't good. And on the other spectrum, I have met people where I was like Richie Kotzen and Uli Roth, who when they play in front of you, you're just like, oh, Christ, these guys are great.
Yeah. Have you ever met Frank Hannon before?
No.
So,
the name.
I want to. He's from Tesla.
Tesla, right? Okay.
I just want to bring this guy up because I was blown away the other day. So this is a band where they've got some songs with some pop accessibility. I like a handful of their songs, but never have I been like, that's a guitar player's band right there. Where I'm thinking, Frank Hannon, what a shredder. I'm not. You know, the guy plays very standard bluesy sort of stuff.
Modern Cowboy was good.
Yeah.
I like that riff.
What's that song? Or what's that sound of me?
The Jay Leno.
Right. Exactly. So I see this thing from NAMM where they do a Randy Rhoads tribute this year.
Yes.
And Frank Hannon, somebody recorded with like their handheld in the crowd, Frank Hannon performing I Don't Know. Not only did he sing the whole song, it was a three-piece when he was on stage. It was him playing guitar and singing, and then the bass player and the drummer. He killed it.
Really?
Absolutely killed it. And not only that, he was nailing the Randy solos, and I was just like, this dude's actually really good.
Yeah.
I've like heard people mentioning to me before, like when I was at Korg and we distributed Black Star, he was a Black Star artist, and people would be like, oh, Frank Hannon. And I'm like, you're not selling amps, and I still believe this. You're not selling amps by putting Frank Hannon's name on it.
Absolutely not. Maybe Frank Cannon, but not Frank Hannon.
Right. But I still believe that. I don't think he's selling amps, but the fact that all these people were like kind of blowing the dude, like, oh, he's so great. And I was just like, I don't get it. The guy's actually a ripper. So it's kind of funny because it's the opposite of what I would have ever thought, compared to what you were just saying about a certain unnamed shredder hero, even of mine, who when I first heard this band, I was like, wow, this guy's a great player.
Right.
So I just thought it was wild.
Yeah,
I'll have to find that video. It's pretty good.
But you know, it's funny because Tesla's a band that was more about the song.
Mm.
it wasn't about the guitar playing, saying "Look at me." In fact, I mean, two of their biggest hits are covers.
What
Right?
are the two? I know one of them, obviously, Signs.
Right, and Little Susie.
Oh, is that a cover? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Little Susie was a band called PhD that did it initially, which was like a synth band in the early 80s, early MTV band.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Little Susie's on the Up, I think is the full title of the song.
Little Susie's on the up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, look that up. It's
I didn't know that. Okay.
let me just see who was in the band, because I think it was somebody big. Like it was somebody's PhD band. PhD. Singer Jim Diamond left the Jeff Beck group. Who was the band? Simon Phillips was the drummer in the band.
Okay.
Jim Diamond, Tony Hymas, and singles. Lil Susie's on the Up, 1981.
Okay. Simon Phillips is also the drummer for Toto these days.
Well, not anymore, but he was the drummer.
Who is now? Or does it matter?
I don't know, but he hasn't played in a few years.
Okay.
But yeah, it shows Little Susie's on the Up, and then in the bottom it says hard rock band Tesla covered the song in '86 under the name Little Susie. Tesla released the cover as the second single from their debut album, Mechanical Resonance. The single broke Tesla into the mainstream and was the most successful single from their debut. Yeah, Frank Hannon played lead guitar, acoustic guitar, and mandolin. Yeah. I wasn't a big Tesla fan, I got to be honest.
Neither was I.
Yeah. But there's a lot of players that are like that. I would call those players sleepers.
Sure.
You know? There's a lot of bands that go out there and, played. I don't even know if you could call them sleepers, but like Crocus was a great band.
What a name.
Well, it's a flower, right? But I mean, they were a great band. They, I think Crocus had. I mean, when Winning Man came out in '81, and then Screaming in the Night album, and the album with Ballroom Blitz that had Our Love. I love those songs.
Now,
and
they did a version of Ballroom Blitz?
Yes. The singer for Crocus was Mark Storis, who has videos on YouTube now where he's singing AC/DC songs and he sounds just like Bon Scott.
No kidding.
Oh, the guy's you got to look up Shot Down in Flames. How AC/DC said, let's get Axl Rose and not Mark Storis, to me is like, what the hell are they thinking?
They're thinking we're going to make $1 billion on this tour. And they probably
did. See
did.
Axl Rose. Does anyone like Axl Rose I don't know if anyone, even Guns N' Roses fans, I don't think like him.
Axl Rose's own mother doesn't like him.
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like that move was an entertainment industry sort of like a power move, just to be like, we're going to do this controversial thing. We're going to take this guy. I mean, he's a huge name.
Have you seen the Michael Jackson movie yet?
No.
Oh, you gotta see it.
Isn't it HBO?
Yeah.
I don't have HBO. Home box office.
Yes. Or you can, do you have Dropbox?
I do.
I'll put it in your Dropbox.
Oh, very good.
Do
I really want to watch it?
Yes.
They're not going to tell me anything I don't know.
No. Yes, they will.
They're going to be like, he touched kids. And I'm going to be like, yeah. You think?
Oh, no. It's far more in detail.
Yeah, but
it's
to the really point. Want to see that? I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I think you do. I think what it does is it tells us what a sick world we live in, that people protect this. And even to this day, people are protecting it.
Is it going to ruin Fat for me?
Never. No, because he's way more talented. So the Jackson family comes out afterwards and they're like, these people are known liars. Well, they're calling them liars because they lied for Michael Jackson on the stage when Michael was alive. Because these kids were little boys who thought they were going to be going against their hero and didn't want to disappoint. You know what I mean? These are like groomed victims of abuse.
Right.
And so to come out and say that and be like, just call them liars is so disturbing. It's like, and I was thinking about this. I think that the Jackson estate should be like, we're going to release a greatest hits album and all the money we're going to give to abused children. To me, that's the only way to salvage the estate. You know what I mean? Because I think anyone that sees this and then says, "Oh, I'm going to still buy everything, Michael." Now, I'm not trying to be a social justice warrior because I'm not. I'm playing in a band and we do Jackson songs. We even do Rock With You. I'm not saying you wouldn't listen to it, but I do think they still make a lot of money. And people are buying up the stuff. And I wouldn't go out and formally buy that stuff. But it is a very disturbing. I mean, how old's your son?
Five.
You need to watch this movie.
Ooh, that's gnarly. All right.
You need to watch it. And I think you'll totally, when you say to me, I think you'll totally get why I want you to see it. It's very disturbing.
So speaking of the music movies, whether disturbing or not, did you happen to watch the new Motley Crue Dirt film?
I have not seen it yet. My girlfriend called me yesterday, said she was watching it, and I said, "Oh, okay." I'm not a Motley Crue fan, but
so the Motley Crue movie, if I can ruin it for some people, it tells you nothing that you've never heard before.
Right, that's what.
Did they do drugs? Yes, it's in the movie. Did they bang a lot of chicks? Yes, it's in the movie. Did they destroy hotel rooms? Yes, it's in the movie. Did they write shitty songs? Yes, it's in the movie. There's really not a lot that I learned about it. It's like if you know about Vince Neil's car crash that killed the drummer from Hanoi Rocks, it's in the movie. But it wasn't anything. There was nothing where you were like, "Oh, wow, I never knew that," or anything all that endearing. Do you remember years ago VH1 made that terrible Def Leppard biopic?
No.
You hadn't seen that? Oh, kid. That was brutal. That was really poorly done. And it's like every music movie where you got like some actor like pretending to play guitar and he's not playing the right notes or anything. You know the move.
Sure.
That was happening in this Motley Crue movie. I thought for sure, considering the age that we live in now, the accessibility to musicians who probably really like Motley Crue, how you can't get an actor who can at least like fake playing guitar close enough to fool the general public, I thought was insanity.
Like the Queen movie.
Is that what happened in the Queen movie? I still haven't seen that.
No, I think in the Queen movie, the guy looks pretty convincing playing. It doesn't.
Got it. Yeah, well, that's what they should have done in the Crue movie, but there's like moments where they show him like playing the guitar solo and you hear all the notes being bent and he's just like hanging on like one note. It's just like, what? He's moving around in the solo and this guy's on one. It just, I don't know. I wasn't impressed, and I know that there's going to be a lot of people out there who are like, "Oh, I loved it. I'm going to watch it 2 and 3 times." Whatever.
I'll say this about Motley Crue. The first album, what is that called? Too Fast for Love?
Yeah.
It has a lot to say. It's a good record. It's a borderline metal / punk album. There's elements to it where it's like, as a kid, I hated the guitar sound, but as a non-guitar player, I love the guitar sound. In other words, it's nothing I'd want to emulate because it has a punk edge to it, but I thought that record had a lot to say. I was like, that's a great record. Then they got produced for Shout at the Devil. And from my point of view on, they became a shitty band.
What was on Too Fast for Love other than Too Fast for Love?
Starry Eyes, Take Me to the Top, Live Wire.
Live Wire, yeah, okay.
Record's great.
Yeah. It's a
great.
And then they did Dr. Feelgood and blew up.
Oh, they blew up before Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah, that's true.
Blew up
think that was their
Devil
biggest.
was big because Shout at the Devil was when they started getting big because it had "She's got the looks that kill." Looks that kill. What else was on that record? Shout at the Devil. Those two songs. Then the next album came out, Theater of Pain, it was Home Sweet Home. And like I said, from when that song came out, I was half checked out for Shout at the Devil. When that album came out, I'm like, yeah, I am done. And then of course they had the Girls, 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 and which would have been better if they had Charlotte Rae come in and sing a chorus. Girls, girls, girls. Blair.
Dude. Yeah, Girls, Girls, Girls has a terrible guitar tone too. If you ever listen to that record or listen to that song, it's terrible.
I don't want to say Mick Mars is a terrible guitar player, but I think it.
Yeah.
He's horrible.
Boom ba da 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 boom ba da 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 boom ba da 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 da.
But that's not even their riff.
I know, that's why I sang it the way that I did. Because if it was their riff, it would have been boom ba da 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 boom ba da 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 da.
It's Night of the Long Lives by AC. Night of the Long Lives by AC/DC. Yeah.
Yeah. All they did is they changed the end fill of the riff.
I think they also dropped it to D, right? Isn't it in a low tuning on the? Or it could be. Maybe
all of their catalog is dropped all the way down to D. But regardless, it's the same thing.
It's exactly the same. Yeah. Somebody learned the riff. They did like the Ozzy Diary of a Madman. What are you playing? AC/DC. That's ours now, right? Right, with Diary of a Madman. Randy Rhoads was playing a classical piece, and Ozzy's like, "What are you playing?" That's ours now.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, so what's up for the week?
I got to teach. I have a student today, actually, and then I have a student tomorrow, student Wednesday, rehearsal Wednesday, gig Thursday, gig Saturday. Friday, I got nothing.
So on Friday, are you going to be Porky Pigging it?
Yeah, more than likely.
Dave Markland.
So yesterday, I picked up a new Taurus. Do you have a Taurus or no?
What are you talking about? Taurus pedal?
I picked up a Taurus gun.
Oh, no, I don't have it. No.
You don't have a Taurus? What do you have? Oh, you have a Beretta, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
PX4. I'm gonna get a Glock pretty soon, though.
What are you gonna get?
Well, I'd like to get a 34, but I'd have to buy it used because they don't allow it in California. It's not on the roster in California. The reason I need to get it, let me rephrase that.
Was it ever on the roster in California?
Let me rephrase that. I need to get one of the later generations of it because the generation that's accepted in California still has only the left side magazine release.
Gen 3.
Right, but I'm left-handed, so I shoot. And you're left-handed too, aren't you?
Yeah, but you know what?
You shoot righty?
I shoot lefty, but I'm so used to using the mag release with my first finger.
Okay.
That it
but
doesn't.
Don't you find? Okay, so on the Glock 34, and I don't know if you notice this on the other ones, but when I hold the 34, that square, harsh magazine release just presses right in, right there, and
yeah, you could change that.
Awful. Right, which is why I was looking at the later generation because the later generation has the ambidextrous thing where you can just switch it to the other side.
So wait, I know they had a problem with Gen 4s. Are you telling me California didn't accept the Gen 5s either?
There's no 4s or 5s of that model in California. That's right.
Wow.
They have some models in California. I think Gen 4, 19s and 17s are accepted.
Now they are? They weren't.
So. Wow. I think so. I'll have to look, but the other thing I was looking at is maybe doing a 17L because it's real similar to a 34.
I like the 17L better. It's longer.
And I can get that ambidextrous. But it doesn't come with the upgraded trigger or the upgraded sights.
Yeah.
So you get the length and that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, California definitely makes it hard. So tell me a little bit about that Taurus before we get out of here.
Well, I have it here, so I'll show you real quickly. So it's basically what happened was in Brazil, Taurus bought the Beretta plant, and so they make.
Oh, that's nice. Stainless.
Yeah, PT92.
Yeah, it looks just like a 92 FS.
Yeah, let me just boom, show you it's empty. But yeah, so that's this.
It's got an accessory rail on it. Yep.
Yeah,
That's neat.
yeah, it's very cool. It has the on the frame with that the other one doesn't have. It has the decocker,
Right.
and then you flick it up, and it's a safety
Yeah.
on the frame. On the
That's
Beretta,
cool.
it's on the slide.
Right.
Sucks on the slide.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a nice.
How's the weight?
It's just like a Beretta.
Okay.
It's a ton.
Is the trigger really long like the Beretta as well?
Yes, but this one, he said, the guy who I got it from said it's got a 3-pounder on it.
Okay.
So that was cool.
That's the thing I like about the 1911 so much. The 1911's trigger pull is so short. It's like a 1/4 of an inch pull.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't mind the.
It's cool. It's good looking.
Yeah.
Are you gonna keep the black grips on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're rubber grips. They feel fantastic. The thing
Nice.
feels like you hold it in your hand. It's like, oh, gotta be kidding me. This thing's unbelievable. And I don't know if you've ever shot up the Beretta 92.
Sure.
The what do they call that gun? I'm blanking on. Is it the 92 FS?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have that, and that is like my favorite shooter.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's great. And then
You like
when
that more than your Glocks?
oh yeah, shoots way better. Locks are way more.
Maybe I shouldn't get a 17.
Well, what the Glocks is the utilitarian.
Right.
It's easy if you want it. Like I carry my Glock.
You can't hit anything, but you can carry it.
Oh no, it's accurate.
Just
It's not about the accuracy. It's about the comfort.
Right.
It's like when you shoot a Beretta, a 92 FS. It's like your hand doesn't move. It's like easy peasy. When you're shooting, like I have the Glock 19 Generation 2, which is basically like the Generation 5, no finger grooves. It's a smooth shooter. It's nice, but you don't feel like you're holding, like, you know what I mean? It's not as fun. Now, there's no way the hell you're going to carry this thing unless you're John Wick in a large trench coat and you got one of these sides and you go,
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Yeah.
But also
the 19, if I remember, the 19's a compact, so you don't even get all of your fingers around the grip. Your pinky's just on the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at, well, if you want something a little bit more compact, you can get a 19X, which is the 19 frame. I mean, 19 slide on a 17 frame.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, the 17L is cool because that's the long.
Yeah.
I think that's the John Wick gun in the first movie.
I haven't seen any of those. Somebody else told me I need to watch the John Wick movie.
Oh, they're great.
Is that Keanu?
He went and got training, and he's a really good marksman. And they say it's the most realistic when it comes to the Hollywood movies featuring guns, like how the guy moves around with it. But he's got like a 19, I think it's a 19L. I mean, a 17L.
Okay.
And then there's a new one, and he's using something else, and I'm trying to remember what it is. I can't remember. But it's not a Glock. But one of them's a Glock. But, it's got the long... The 17L's the baddest looking. I mean, that's the kind of thing you pull out, you're like... The barrel's still over here. It's a lot of fun. How can that not be fun at the range?
The cartoon.
Right? I mean, that's why I love the Berettas and the Taurus PTs, PT92s, because they have that 5-inch, that long barrel.
Sure.
But anyways.
Very good. Well, after you get a chance to shoot it a little bit, give us a review.
Yeah, I will. I will. There's a lot of people that message me about the stuff because they see me wearing Glock shirts and they ask gun questions. But yeah,
you have any videos? Any videos planned for the week? Anything you want to leak to our fan base?
I mean, I have a few ideas, but not really. But one of them was, like I mentioned, I'm going to do that "Don't Let It Go to Your Head" lesson, which is an R&B song, just to show you how a song like that can get put together. Because it seems like it's a very clever song, and there's like 3 different parts going on simultaneously that make this groove. And it might not be a well-known song to most people, but it's something you should look up. And the Brand Nubian does a great cover of it, where they rap the verses.
As a means to attract more female viewers to our channel this week, I will be releasing a video where I will be doing jumping jacks shirtless.
At the Roman holiday? Can we get you a towel, sir?
Oh, God.
Is that still there, the Roman holiday?
It sure is.
God.
Oh, it's the best.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's what I always go there when I tell my wife I'm going to have a spa day.
Right, it's a spa day.
Me and Dave Ross.
Oh, God.
We roll in with our captain's hats on. What's that?
Captain's hat, Speedos, and flip-flops. That'd be unbelievable. A couple of cigars hanging out of your mouth. Folks, that is not an image you want in your head.
No, not at all. All right, with that, I'm going to hit it.
All right,
have a great week. I'm looking forward to seeing what you produce out there.
All right, you too, man. All right,
Peace.
You're listening to Guitar Talk with Dave and Jon.